These objects are all over the galaxy, and this is an example of what the telescope can do. All of the structures that you can see all throughout.
Let's see another one of these beautiful
sure.
images.
So once we go to, and I'm going to tell you why this is dangerous, right? Because they can make fancy telescopes. And with those fancy looking telescopes and shit, they can say, well, this is what the telescopes can do. They can show us things that we otherwise would have never saw. But what if we find out that the shit that the telescope's showing us don't exist? And that the telescope is just a prop for them to lie to you through the telescope, just like they did with God. They said, well, look, the prophets in the medieval time on earth control the world by telling them that they had a connection to God that the regular people didn't have, and that they can see things with this connection. And so the people would go to them and say, what do you see for my future? What do you see like for the plan for the world? Because so that we can make the proper actions by consorting with our prophets, right? Our Pharisees and Sadducees. This is who the Bible called false prophets. They had no connection to see nothing. What they was giving the people was their vision of plan to control the people, while telling people that was God's will to come and destroy them and depopulate them and exterminate them, because God was so mad. And if somebody say, well, how do you know that's what God want to do to us? Well, I had a vision from God. And the people will accept their own extermination under the guise that the prophet was right. He said God was going to do that, and God did it. No, the prophet telling you what the Caesar wanted to do to you and how he wanted to kill you. But instead of saying this what the government want to do, if we tell the people God want this, they'll accept their own fate. So if we tell the people God showed me this, they won't argue with you. But if you tell a person, look, man, this is what I think, a person will argue with another human's bright mind and go with what God said in the Bible and what God spoke, because people been dumbed down by the church and they using the same scheme. If Neil was to go up there and say, hey, it's diamond planets up there, it's other worlds up there with aliens, it's super earths, people will be like, how you know that? Because they can't take the word from another human. And they will take some of the most bizarre things from a person if you tell them God did it or God said it. So in this case, instead of saying God did it or God said it, they saying the James Webb telescope saw this. Now, you wouldn't take it if I said, bro, this was just something I see. It's my inner vision of what I think the heavens is like. But we'll respect it if we say, well, no, this ain't my vision. I put a telescope out there, and this is what the telescope say. Now, it's two things that people don't argue with, God and technology, and they one and the same. A person will tell you, Brother Sanchez, why would they lie, man? They got this expensive telescope. It's made out of gold. It's made out of most expensive metals. It's worth more than a small country. Why would they spend all that money on something that ain't telling them what they saying? Neil deGrasse Tyson got to be right. Why? Because the telescope costs that much money. People think a lot of money spent on some make it all legit versus they paying that much money to lie to you. They don't know what's up there. And this telescope ain't going nowhere, no light years away saying nothing. But if you think that is doing that because they spent all that money on it. But they spent all that money to get you to think that, for your belief, to get you tricked like that. That they actually got this God-like technology that can start giving us these peeks into the heavens that the ancestors said no man can get other than accessing your own pineal gland and kundalini.